All right, all right, all right. Hey, what's up? What's up? It's your girl Neek, and you're tuned in to Neek at Night. And tonight we're going to be talking about this lawsuit filed by a Tyler Perry actor in one of his TV shows. Now, if you guys are hip or been up in the know, Tyler Perry has tons of TV shows. One of them is called The Oval. Now, this guy up here, uh, next to Tyler, he appears in the show The Oval with Tyler. He'd appeared in 85 episodes, and he is suing Tyler for sexual assault. He is claiming that Tyler came on to him. Tyler was trying to get his booncha cat, and he is alleging that Tyler hopped on in the bed with him, and when he didn't want to play ball and get his booncha cat snatched up, he claims that he was, threatened with his job and all of that. Now, he filed a $260 million lawsuit, and we're going to be going over all of the documents in this live. Now, I have the full lawsuit. We're going to be going over all of the pages. I'm going to be reading to you guys all of the details that this lawsuit contains. And if the allegations are true, then that would mean that either this woman that, a lot of people seem to think that Tyler Perry is married because he got a son with this woman right here. But according to Google, he only had a long-term relationship with her. They have a son, but they allegedly separated in 2020. But when he got with her, a lot of people thought that she was just a beard. And if these allegations are true and they match what a lot of us thought about Tyler, then she might have very well been a beard, because did they really get frisky in the we don't know. But let's get into it. So in this lawsuit, there are text messages included, and in these messages there are allegations of all kind of things. So this is just a quick preview of one of the messages where Tyler wrote him, why did that video make me jealous? You two together. And then the actor said, I don't know. It's just Brad, LOL. And then Tyler says, LOL. And so much more. But we're going to get into the actual factual lawsuit of it all. If you guys can hear me, if the sound is coming through clear, make sure you hit a 1 in the chat, because we're going to go over a lot. Now, this is a 46-page document, okay? This lawsuit is 46 pages, and in order to go through the 46 pages, it's going to take us some time to read through it. Now, if you are watching this on the playback and you didn't watch this while I was live and you want to speed me up a little bit, because y'all know I chill, I coast, I'm not Speedy Gonzalez or whatever like that. But if you want to speed me up, go to the playback settings. If you go on your toolbar of your YouTube, you can go into the settings and you can hit playback speed to speed me up so we can get through the whole lawsuit without a hitch, okay? And you can adjust it to the speed of your liking. Now, with that being said, let's get on into this gig. And as you're coming on into this video, make sure you hit a like button. Now, if you are a betting man or woman, are you going to put a bet in to bet that these allegations are true? And before this lawsuit came about, did you feel like Tyler was playing for that team? I mean, the rumors have been swirling all along. And every time he talks about settling down with a woman, creating a family, he always has all of these excuses. And if this allegation of him being jealous of men and crawling in bed, then we see why. But it's like, Tyler, you could have been living out loud, because people thought it anyways. So it's like, I don't know what certain people be thinking when they are trying to hide the obvious. It's like, Tyler, this is one of those things that's literally the obvious. Everyone already suspected it, so you might as well live out loud and live in your truth. But you ain't heard that from me. So let's get on into this lawsuit and read the tea. All right. So this is the second page of the lawsuit. The first page of the lawsuit is basically, the filing, the court filing paper. It is the number of the lawyer, all of that stuff. So we're going to skip on over to page 2 and read the summary of action and get on into the details of this, because baby, the internet is on fire learning that Tyler Perry is with the stuff that they thought he was with all along. People going crazy. So, all right. So it says summary of action. Plaintiff Derek Dixon files his complaint against defendant Tyler Perry, aka Emmett Perry Jr., TPS Productions LLC, and Action LLC, together alleging the following complaint is pled on information and belief. This case arises from a sustained pattern of workplace harassment, assault, retaliation, perpetrated by Tyler Perry, a powerful media mogul. It says this is, he was using his power against Derek Dixon, a professional actor and screenwriter. Mr. Perry is an American actor, filmmaker, and playwright who has built one of the most successful careers in the film and television industry. Mr. Perry took his success and power and used his considerable influence in the entertainment industry to create a coercive, exploitative dynamic with Mr. Dixon, initially promising him a career advancement and creative opportunities, such as producing his pilot and casting him in his show, only to subject him to escalating sexual harassment, assault, and battery, and professional retaliation when Mr. Dixon did not reciprocate Mr. Perry's unwanted advances. These events occurred while Mr. Dixon was employed as a series regular on the Tyler Perry show, The Oval, and while Mr. Perry held direct control over his employment compensation and creative opportunities. Tyler Perry rose against all odds to become one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry. His success story, once a symbol of perseverance and self-made achievement, has now become a cautionary tale of how unchecked power, wealth, and influence can corrupt those who attain it. Among other contracts, Perry received a lucrative multi-year partnership with the Oprah Winfrey Network, and his net worth tops $1.36 billion. Tyler Perry's rise to fame and fortune elevated him from a powerless victim to a figure of tremendous wealth, influence, and power, culminating in the ownership of his own film studio. Rather than using his influence responsibly, Tyler Perry has engaged in a pattern of misconduct where he exploited his position of power. Tyler Perry has been using his power and influence to abuse and impressionable and vulnerable employees and actors who look to him for guidance and mentorship. Now it goes on to page 2 and we get into some more details. Now, if you guys have not hit the like button yet, definitely hit that like button right now, because it's some tea in this lawsuit, okay? And it is a whole lot of, and make sure you also share this live. YouTube is so weird with lives. Now, earlier today, I did an interview with Armand, and I was having technical difficulties. So I was start a live, end it, start a live, end it, start a live, end it. So now that I'm doing another live, it's not sharing my live because I don't know if they put a cap on how many lives you could do or what, but it's not sharing my life. So I'm gonna need you guys to help share, and like. All right. And make sure you let me know if there's any audio, any type of glitches, or anything like that. Now, let's get into page 2. So it says, just like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, P. Diddy, Kevin Spacey, Roger, and many others in the industry, Mr. Perry's success has led him to believe that money and influence can get him whatever he wants. That belief slowly transformed into the false idea that Mr. Perry can get whomever he wants. There are things in life that money cannot buy. Mr. Perry sought the one thing that his wealth and influence could not purchase: a relationship, okay, with a man who would remain silent. Perry told Mr. Dixon that his ideal relationship would involve a male ex-partner who he could provide for and who would be loyal but emotionally detached. All right. So basically what that's given, if that is true, he's saying, listen, I'm not going to put you on Front Street. I'm not going to wipe you up or parade you around in public. So you can't get into your feelings about it. All right. Don't get no feelings attached. Let's just boink, shaboink, shaboink. You know, you take it up the whoop, or I take it up the, or whoever doing the bending. One person do the bending and one person do the spending. Okay. And don't think that this means that I'm going to be kissing you in public. You going to be, you know what I mean? Don't do all of that. Just provide the booncha cat and go on about your day. All right. So that's what this is basically saying. And before we read any further, let's remind you guys of how he spoke about his baby mama. Now, like I told y'all, it was alleged by so many people that he's married, but I don't know if these is AI generated photos or what. But like I said, according to Google, he's never been married. But when he was asked about his relationship on People, let's listen to what he said. All right. So let me share what Tyler Perry said about his relationship.
We met at a Prince. Yeah.
How long have you been together? Years.
Goddess.
Girl.
Yeah.
We know the
Yeah.
studio.
Yeah.
Galila Bakela,
Mhm.
girlfriend for many years.
Goddess. Yeah.
How long have you been together?
Off and on, 2007, we met at a Prince concert. Prince was performing at the Roosevelt Hotel in a small room, and she walked in, and I was like, "Who's that girl?" Yeah. Yeah.
And how did you ultimately know that this was the person you wanted to build a life with?
When I got a call on FaceTime, it was so strange. I was in the very arena that I had played, and I got the test results back, DNA test, saying that my father wasn't my father. I'm in the exact same arena. A year or two later, I get a FaceTime call, and she's holding up the pregnancy stick. I'm like, I guess this is happening. But there's no other person on this planet that I would want to be involved with or have a child with, because she's amazing.
What's a perfect day with family that you guys like to do?
And when you listen to how he describes it, that don't sound like somebody he was in love with, and that don't sound like somebody he even got on top of and did the hunch, the scoot you to the end of the bed and wax that on and off. That sounds very much like somebody who he offered up his fluids and turkey basted a baby up in there. That's what it sounds like. Now, how they created or conceived, I really don't know, but it doesn't really sound like any true emotional attachment. Like the way he's talking about her is the way that you can just talk about a friend, like, oh, you know, she's amazing person. Like, what's amazing? What that do? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when somebody has really connected with a person, like the guys who I have connected with that have been all up in these, it's just a different glimmer how you speak about them and how you speak about y'all interactions. This very much gives, I done provided my fluids and I already knew that we done went through turkey baster appointments, but I'm gonna act surprised and shocked, like, I guess we're doing this. I guess we're parents. I mean, I guess so, Tyler. But again, I don't know how the baby was conceived, if he got on top or however, you know what I mean. But I just don't believe that that's what happened. So now let's get back to the lawsuit, because Miss Gilly, however you say her name, child, you might as well give her one of them Party City beards, because it's giving beard all up and through here. Now, and you know, he ain't ever want to marry her. And yeah, it's giving that. It's giving that. It's giving that. So let's go back to this, because like he's told, oh boy, he said, listen, don't think that we finna run it up on social media, and don't think that we finna make this a thing. Let me shaboink in peace, and you go about your day. I'll trick off a couple of, a few dollars, but don't be emotionally attached. That's what it's given, and that's what it gave when he was speaking about Gilly Lee, or however you say it. So let's finish reading it. So I left off where there is, and all of these accusations against Tyler is alleged. I don't know the validity of it. I don't know the truth of the matter asserted, but this is what is alleged. And shout out to Uda. I think I seen Uda in the chat. What up, Uda? I don't see you now. I could have sworn I seen Uda. But anyway, shout out to Uda. Wait, is he in the chat? Why I thought I seen Uda. Oh yeah, I did see him. Okay. Shout out to Uda. All right. So it says, all right. So they said Mr. Perry sought the one thing his wealth and influence could not purchase: a relationship with a man who would remain silent. Perry told Mr. Dixon that his ideal relationship would involve a male shaboink partner who he could provide for, be a little sugar baby on the side, and who would be loyal, keep my secrets, don't tell anybody I like the Moochie Cat, but, also be emotionally detached, because when I'm out here acting like I like Gilly Lee, or whatever the baby mama name is, don't feel any type of way. Perry told Dixon, whoever ends up with me is going to be a happy mother. And with a net worth of $1.36 billion, Tyler, sign me up for the lavender marriage, okay? I would definitely lavender marriage Tyler in an instant, baby. You want me to pretend to be your girl? I will not tell a soul how you taking it, who bending, who doing what. I wouldn't tell a soul if you like triple decker peckers, if you want the P. Diddy fluid special to go on the nips. I would not tell a soul. Just cut me a nice little allowance, and I'll be red carpet ready to pretend that we in love, and I'll give you all the okay. I don't know. I'm just saying. But anyway, so it says, he said whoever ends up with him is gonna be a lucky mother. Okay. In essence, Mr. Perry desired a one-sided coercive dynamic with a subordinate. Okay, he on his 50 Shades of Grey stuff. An arrangement devoid of mutual consent or emotional reciprocity. Thus began Perry's calculated pursuit of Mr. Dixon. This was not Mr. Perry's first instance of sexual exploitation. He has demonstrated a troubling vulnerable male actors and employees, leveraging his industry power to create a cycle of hope and dependency. First, he offers aspiring actors the prospect of career-defining opportunities, roles that promise visibility and advancement. Then once they are in his professional orbit, he uses the weight of his influence to ensure them, positioning their success as cognizant on meeting his demands in a quid pro quo sexual compromise. This pattern of behavior reveals a calculated use of professional power for him, some shaboink leverage. Using his influence, Mr. Perry provided vulnerable men with acting positions, roles, show contracts, cars, and money. Once the object of his desire was hooked, Tyler Perry would then put them in fear of losing it all unless they engaged in his perverted desire. Okay, he said, you get me off, I get you off. Mr. Perry would easily delete a character in a show of an actor who failed to indulge in his shaboink fantasies. All right. So it seems like all of these rich men with money, the minute that you use your money to try to get you a little piece of tail, these people are filing lawsuits left and right. Now, if I was somebody of this status with this amount of money, it's not like I wouldn't even be, I'm not even looking your way, talking your way, because a look to get a lawsuit. You give somebody a hug, lawsuit. People just coming for your money any way they can. And it's crazy. So let's go on to the next page. So in this page, it is excerpts of text messages where it shows that Tyler was trying to threaten him with getting put off of the show. In one such exchange, Perry stated that he could fix things because the actors of the show he was filming should all be scared because they were all shot at and we don't know who lives, meaning that Tyler Perry was going to use this as a tool to gain compliance with his desires. Derek Dixon was Mr. Perry's shaboink desire ever since they became acquainted. Dixon was working as part of the event staff for a party hosted by Mr. Perry. When Perry noticed him, Perry immediately offered Dixon the chance to audition for a part in one of his TV productions. Dixon agreed and was set with Perry behind the camera for weeks in close quarters. During the time they were filming, Perry would send flirtatious text messages to Dixon. For example, in one message, Perry stated that he was jealous when he saw Dixon going on a walk with another man named Brad. Now, in these two excerpts of messages, the first excerpt in the text at the top, it says, "But I swear to you, I know how to fix this ish. I love deleting a MFer in a show, and no one expects it." And the reply to that says, "You could be sipping Mai Tais, counting coconuts right now." And he replies, "Think about the last episode. They are all shot at. We don't know who lives." And then the guy replies, "Exactly. I'm scared. They should be too. Nope, they're not. Last I checked, we all got the same bullets in us." So that was his example of Tyler Perry threatening to delete anybody off the show that ain't bending over and giving him that tail. And it, according to what Dixon looked like, it looked like he liked the white tail. Okay, I ain't surprised. So in another message that they show, it is a message from Tyler Perry, and it says, "Why did that photo make me jealous? You two together?" And then Derek replies and he says, "Haha, I don't know. It's just Brad, LOL." Tyler says, "LOL." And then Derek says, "He just wanted to go for a quick walk to get his steps in. And now I'm walking to Chipotle by myself. LOL. Thick Derek. Get that Chipotle." All right. So Tyler was saying Bay a baddie and he thick with his old ass. Okay. He said thick Derek. And I said, I know that's right. or not, because it got you this lawsuit. So it says in another text message, Perry stated to Dixon, what is it going to take for you to have guiltless shaboink sessions? Have y'all found that yet in therapy? You can have freedom from religious guilt and still believe in Christ. All right. So let's read this message. It says, what's it going to take for you to have guiltless shaboink sessions? Have y'all found that yet in therapy? Yes, it's the exact same kind of car, Geo Metro. And Derek says, giving up my religious guilt, becoming a Buddhist, that's so cool. Where you come from? And then Tyler says, unfortunately, Derek, I have friends who are in their 50s and 60s who are still dealing with that. And it's so sad. You can have freedom from religious guilt and still believe in Christ. Like, what are y'all talking about here? All right. So it says plaintiff carefully navigated a friendly demeanor to prevent the loss of income and opportunity on the one hand, and on the other hand, on the other form, boundary against Perry's advances. Often when Mr. Perry started drinking, he would demand more attention from the plaintiff and get more aggressive with his flirting. On one occasion, when Mr. Perry was drinking, he started to become extremely annoyed when Mr. Dixon avoided him. Mr. Perry stated that that of the 600 people in his phone book, he only had eyes for Dixon. All right. So he's saying, listen, out of all of these baddies in the room, I'm thinking about you. All right. So it says, treat myself right. What are you doing, Derek? And then Derek says, just talking to my sister. Tyler says, I roll. Fine. Good night. I'll go through the 600 people in my phone book and be annoyed that I don't want to talk to any of them. Trying to get off so I can go to sleep, LOL. I understand, LOL. LOL. Apparently, you're not the only one that's been drinking tonight. I just started. They didn't, LOL. All right. So Tyler is letting him know, like, out of all the people I could be spending time with, I'm trying to get a shaboing session going on with you. Like, hello, give me some tail. I'll spoil you so well. Okay. And Tyler, in this lavender marriage that we can have, and if y'all don't know what a lavender marriage is, that's basically when a girl bees a man's beard and pretends they're married, knowing that the guy wants some buncha cat. In this lavender marriage, I find you somebody. Anyway, allegedly, this is all alleged because we don't know if this is true, but this is what Dixon is claiming. All right. So on the next page, it says, somebody said, do you read super chats? Do I have any super chats? I don't see no super chats. Oh, wait. Miss Magic sends in a $4.99 and says, Lord have mercy. Thank you so much. Miss Magic says, where'd you find this? And I think those are the only two super chats. Thank you so much. So let's get into the rest. So it says Dixon did his best to tiptoe around Mr. Perry's shaboink aggression. While keeping on Mr. Perry's good side, Mr. Perry made it clear to Dixon that if Dixon ignored Perry or failed to engage with the innuendos of wanting his buncha cat, that his character would die in the next season. Indeed, Dixon's character Dale was shot 4 times in the chest at the end of the first season on the Oval, and Perry always held this over Mr. Dixon's head, implying that Dale would survive if Dixon kept Perry happy. Once Perry recognized the extent of control he had over Mr. Dixon, he escalated this behavior on multiple occasions. Mr. Perry essayed Mr. Dixon, including one instance where he forcibly pulled off Mr. Dixon's clothes. He groped his tail and attempted to force himself on Dixon. Dixon told a drunken Perry no and attempted to remove Mr. Perry's hands, but Mr. Perry held tightly onto Dixon's wrist. Mr. Dixon was only able to escape after de-escalating the situation by abruptly changing the subject. The day after the essay, Mr. Perry called and texted Mr. Dixon relentlessly saying, "Tried you, call me, and I really need to talk to you. Please call soon as you can." Finally, when Mr. Dixon answered Tyler Perry's call, Mr. Perry profusely apologized for the SA while blaming it on other things. It says Perry continued, he didn't know why he would do that. Maybe he was self-sabotaging. On the very same call where he apologized for SA against Dixon, Perry told Dixon, "And don't worry, we're going to do your show," referring to the pilot that Perry knew Mr. Dixon had desperately wanted to produce. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Dixon got a call from Perry's lawyer saying that Christmas had come early and that Dixon was getting a substantial raise, and the show was greenlit. Perry's attorney explicitly warned Dixon not to tell any other actor on the show about his raise because no other actors were getting a raise, only the special of the 600. All right. So then it goes on to say, Perry kept telling Dixon that he was sorry and that the harassment would not happen again. However, the harassment and continued. Mr. Perry would also try to deflect the blame for the essay by saying that Dixon didn't have a strong enough no. Perry told Dixon, all right, so let's just read the text. It says, "Nice. Santa Monica is nice. I'm glad you're going out there. How is your no?" Oh, wait. It says, "How is your no? Is it stronger? You got to have a strong no." And so Dixon says, "Yes, it's strong. My mom literally thinks I'm going to sell my soul to the Illuminati. She heard Kanye say that. It's real." Well, Tyler says, "Well, I don't think that, but I do think that you have to be able to say no and mean it and make it clear." And Dixon says, "I'll only say yes if it gets me an Oscar." JK, JK. I hear you. All right. So Dixon is over here lining Tyler up. He over here playing victim, but you was basically letting him know that that Booncha cat come with a price. That's what that text looked like to me. "I'll only say yes if it comes with an Oscar." That sound like I'll only give up that tail if I got a for sure role. Ain't that what they're saying? I mean, you over there playing with his heart, acting like you finna give him some tail, and then filing a lawsuit saying he acted like he wanted my Boonchie. You acting like you want him to get the Boonchie. Okay, they gonna say I'm victim blaming, so let me stop, child. Let me stop. You're victim blaming. Well, it looked like a duck quacking like a duck. Okay, it says, well, the only one who could have gotten that for you through Shaboink is in prison. So just stick to the no unless you are really into him. Wink. All right. So Tyler threw it back at him like stick to the no until you really ready to give it how it like a man getting it took in prison. Child, was Tyler gonna be doing the bending? Or did he want Dixon to act like he was taking his boonshit like a man in prison? I don't know, but let's finish reading. So on line 23, it says Perry told Dixon that you have to be able to say no to propositions for hanky panky and mean it and make it clear. Dixon did not know how to answer without facing retaliation, cancellation of his production contract, or perhaps being deleted off the show. So instead, Dixon made a joke out of it. Okay. And then they said, oh, him saying, I'll only say yes to shaboinking you if it gets me an Oscar. So they're saying, oh, he just joked about that. That was just a joke because he was scared he was going to lose his job. In response, Tyler Perry stated the only one who could have gotten that Oscar for you through shaboinking is in prison, so stick to the no unless you're really into him, emphasis added. Perry reveals through these text messages that the no he was referring to was Dixon's no to shaboinking in exchange for promotion in the industry, classically known as quid pro quo harassment. Perry sent this message to Dixon because that is exactly what Tyler Perry was doing. At some point, Dixon left Atlanta and moved to Santa Monica to create distance from Tyler. However, even at long distances, Mr. Perry continued to want that boonshit from Dixon. It says plaintiff Dixon is an individual who resides in the state of California. Defendant Tyler Perry is an individual who resides in both the state of Georgia and in California and has extensive business contracts in the state of California so that he has conduct substantial, continuous, and systematic business activities in California. He does business in Cali. He has the headquarters in Georgia, and he has a LLC doing business in California. The plaintiff is ignorant of the true names and capacities of defendants sued herein and does 1 through 50 collectively with TPS Production Services, LLC, and Tyler Perry. It says the plaintiff is informed and believed and hereon alleges that each of the fictitiously named defendants is legally responsible in some manner for the occurrences herein alleged, and that the injuries of the plaintiff as herein alleged have been proximately caused by the aforementioned defendants and each of them. On information and belief, one or more defendant is the full partial parent or owner of a wholly or partially owned subsidiary or division of the agent of alter egos of each other and or subsidiaries or divisions of an unknown and unnamed parent or holding enterprise. Plaintiff is informed and believes and thereon alleges that each of the defendants named herein has at all times relevant to this action been the officer, blah, 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 blah. All right, so let's get to the meat and potatoes. So they're saying that they believe that California is the proper venue because Tyler has business in Cali and so on. So they're basically saying why they want to file the lawsuit in California. Now let's move a couple of pages over to... All right. So go on down to line 24 where it says factual allegations, and we're going to start reading from there. So it says, these are the facts of the case. In or around September 2019, plaintiff worked for an event company called Legendary Events in Atlanta that he was hired to organize defendant Perry Studios' opening party. The plaintiff was recruited by Tony Conway, the owner of Legendary Events, as a close friend of Tyler Perry. Mr. Conway decided to place Dixon directly in a role at a party that required frequent conversations with Tyler Perry. And then we're going to go to the next page. It says Defendant Perry picked plaintiff out of a crowd of employees present at the party and began asking plaintiff questions about his employment status and whether the plaintiff was an actor. In or around early October and on the last day of the party, defendant Perry insisted that he and the plaintiff exchanged phone numbers, and Perry subsequently texted plaintiff to introduce himself. Perry began by asking Dixon about his dreams and aspirations. Dixon told Perry that he was interested in acting and writing. Perry then told Dixon to do an audition over the phone and send it to Perry. Now, you see how Tyler Perry seen what he wanted and went after what he wanted, but that one black woman, to get a role, she had to put out billboards and basically stalk Tyler Perry until he let her get in a movie. But if you the color tell he won't and of the gender that he like, he'll settle for a phone audition, according to this lawsuit. Now, let's continue reading. So it says that Perry then told Dixon to do an audition over the phone and send it to Perry. Dixon told Perry that he was at a Halloween party. Perry asked to see pictures of Dixon in a costume, and Dixon complied. When Perry saw the pictures, he texted Dixon, "I was going to say, your cowboy needs a sugar daddy." Perry continued with, "You look great. You're just lacking costume parts." "Sorry, don't want to offend," Dixon responded. "Not at all. It's so true. Half costume." To which Perry replied, "What's true? Cowboy needs a sugar daddy?" Implying that Perry wanted to be Dixon's sugar daddy. Dixon quickly shut down those comments by reiterating what he said earlier, that the truth was that he was lacking costume parts. Shortly thereafter, Dixon's boss at Legendary Events called Dixon and told him that Tyler Perry was having another event in LA and specifically wanted him to fly from Atlanta to LA to work on the event. Excited for the company to fly to LA, Dixon was flattered and jumped on the opportunity to meet Tyler again. Shortly after doing the event in November 3rd of 2019, Tyler sent the plaintiff several messages that he would love to find a job to change his life, insisting that they should make it happen. Perry sent Dixon what turned out to be an ominous warning. "Be careful hanging around me. You know, I might be the Booncha Cat snatcher." He said, "I cause dreamers to dream bigger. I cause them not only believe, but do. Then let's make it happen. You're an artist. You have to be fulfilled. Nothing else will suffice." The next day, defendant Perry sent an email which contained an offer for plaintiff to play the role of Dale in Perry's television series, Ruthless. Perry said it was a small role that can get a lot bigger, thereby setting up the first stage in a series of escalating quid pro quo offers. At this point, Dixon did not know that Perry was interested in men or that he was looking. I mean, he said and insinuated that he wanted you to be his sugar baby, but you didn't know that he was maybe interested or looking at your Booncha Cat when you walked away. Let's go on to some more pages. Now, if you have not hit the like button already, I mean, what are you doing? Why are you playing games? Why are you acting in that manner? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you can deal with an acquired taste, because it's a very acquired taste over here. And make sure to share the video. You guys share. That helps out a lot. Getting these documents, reading them to you, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can always donate to my Cash App, to the Document Reading Fund. Now, the Document Reading Fund, if you are enjoying the details of this document and you enjoy the fruits of these pages require, you can drop a little a little drop in the bucket, $1, $2, $3, make me holla onto my Cash App, niquelaclaire. Okay, spell it like it is right here. This is my Cash App. So, but you can like the video for free. Now, let's move on, and y'all let me know what is given, because he's saying, child, I didn't even know he wanted a little boonchie cat. I thought, I don't know what he thought. But anyways, he says, at this point, Dixon did not know that Perry was interested in men or that he was looking for a shaboink relationship. Dixon assumed that Tyler was genuinely a caring person who discovered the talent that Dixon always felt he had. Dixon filmed his roles in Ruthless in mid-November and went back to his job as an event staff for Legendary Events. Approximately 1 month later, Perry brought and gave Dixon a new car because he hated Dixon's Jeep. Child, 1 month of working on Ruthless and Tyler Perry already upgrading your car. He like, let me upgrade you. He said Dixon was surprised and elated. Dixon had no idea that he was being set up by Perry. Boy, your acting ain't that good that you thought you was just getting a car because what, you act so well in the movie? Child, you knew what it was giving. It says in December of 2019, Dixon was requested to be a part of the event staff at another event and at Perry's home in the Jackson Hole, Wyoming. After that event, Perry started frequently sending text messages, making phone calls, and demanding that Dixon give Perry some attention. On New Year's Eve 2019, Tyler Perry texts Dixon, I can't tell you the last time I pumped gas or went to the supermarket or flew commercial or packed a bag or had a good shaboink session. It was before I was rich. Dixon found these messages to be strange and untowardly coming from someone like Tyler Perry. But being new to the industry, Dixon played along by downplaying these shaboink comments and hoping that being around Perry would allow him to showcase his talents as an actor and writer. Soon after Dixon began giving Perry more attention, Perry made his move on Dixon. In January of 2020, just a few months after his first acting gig, Perry invited Plaintiff to his home in Douglasville County, Georgia. Plaintiff showed up to the home hoping that he would be given a chance to befriend Perry and show him how talented an actor Dixon was at Perry's home. Dixon was served many alcoholic beverages, which Perry also drank as well. It says Dixon felt that Perry was genuinely interested in his acting talent, and Perry made no advances at Dixon while they were drinking, and the conversations was friendly. At the end of the night, Perry told Dixon not to drive home. Perry said it was dangerous outside, and that Dixon was too inebriated to drive. Dixon agreed and was escorted to a separate guest room, not knowing that this was a ruse to allow Perry to get his boonchie cat. They didn't say that, but it says, for Perry to try to assault him. Dixon was tired and did not have pajamas, and so he got in bed only wearing his undies. Before he knew what was happening, Dixon felt someone slip in bed behind him. So he said he got in bed with his t-shirt and his panties on, minus the t-shirt. And then when he crawled into the bed, he said Tyler came up and slid on in the bed after him. And he felt a flashlight go. Okay, I'm adding to the story, but that's what it's giving. He said he slid on in the bed right after him and got on in the bedroom. Child, and he felt something go bump and thump in the night. That's what it's giving. Okay. So he said he felt Tyler up behind. You know, he was trying to get up and behind that thing, up in that bed. And then after that, he said, you know, he got up in the bed all next to him, and then he started rubbing Dixon's body around his inner thighs in a highly, you know, a highly bunch of cat snatching manner. Okay, they said he was acting like he was reaching for that tail through them thighs. And then it says Dixon turned around and saw that it was Tyler Perry in the bed with him. So they bootied a flashlight in the bed because he got his back turned to Tyler. He's saying, I was in the bed like this, and he done got flashlight to cheeks. And he gonna look back and see that was Tyler behind him. Okay, so he said he looked back and found out that wasn't a flashlight, that Tyler was excited. Okay, and so he said he started rubbing his body around his inner thigh like he was trying to snatch that tail. And Dixon turned around and saw that Tyler was in the bed with him. At this point, Dixon's stomach started to turn and he began to feel nauseous. Instinctively, Dixon jumped out of bed and told Tyler Perry he wasn't trying to shaboink and let him snatch his tail all willy-nilly like that. Like, you don't get to get the back like that. Okay, he told Tyler, what type of time you on, sir? At this point, okay, he said, he wasn't trying to go for that. He said Tyler Perry ignored the comments and told Dixon to turn around. Boy, just turn around so that he can see him naked in his undies. Perry then commented on how beautiful Dixon's body was. Dixon once again told Perry, you can't just get all up and get it like that. Dixon kept informing Perry that he was not into getting no shaboink from him. Now, did you not want no shaboink and you didn't want to do the bending? Was it a Tootsie Roll like they say Diddy got? Because I would imagine, you know, Tyler just does not give BDE. Tyler Perry gives Tootsie Roll. And if you even indulge in doing the bending, and he probably felt like a baby flashlight, he like, you ain't finna poke me with that. Now, I don't know what his orientation is, this guy with the lawsuit, but apparently he wasn't impressed. Or he don't swing that way. I don't know. Or he just was simply not interested. But it's giving Tootsie Roll went thump in the night to me. But I don't know. What do I know? This all could be fake. But, you know, hey, this what he alleging. Now, he said, you know, Tyler went bump in the night trying to snatch that Boonsha cat. He told Tyler, you can't just get up all up in this like that. And then he said, Tyler wanted to see him in his underwear and said how nice his body was. And then he commented and said, I am not into no shaboinking. Dixon kept informing Perry that he was not into that mess to keep Perry at bay, while at the same time not insulting the person who was dangling his career in front of him. In response to Dixon's frequent assertions that Dixon was not into shaboinking, Perry started prying further. Perry would send Dixon a text message saying, I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make passionate shaboink with you. You are missing the best years of your life. Let me just read the text because it says, I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make sweet love to you. You're missing the best years of your life, my friend. Trust me. I hope you get past that block in your mind. And he says, well, it's not this person, but yes, I want that too. I'm working on it. Therapy is helping. Child, he trying to work his way up to releasing that behind. He just ain't made it there yet. And Tyler is like, open up that tail and let me love you. Okay. And Dixon is like, I'm ready to give up my tail like that. Therapy is getting there, but I ain't there yet. So then he says after that assault in January, Dixon felt betrayed. Perry continued to call or text Dixon every day asking to talk to him more. Dixon ignored Perry, which led Perry to text him, Derek, why don't you text me anymore? The more Dixon ignored Perry, the more aggressive Perry became until finally Tyler Perry offered Dixon a part in a new show called The Oval. You see how that money and that career dangling over these folks get them to forget that something went thump in the night that you didn't like, okay? So a lot of these people, you give me some money, you give me an acting job, they say, well, to heck with you trying to snatch my kuka box, you gonna let me act in the oval. So he says, despite what went thump in the night, Tyler offered him a position. All right. It says he said that he offered him a role in the Oval. It says Dixon was intrigued and was hoping that this would be the big break that he was looking for and a chance for him to display his acting talent. On February 11, 2020, Perry told Dixon to quit his job and come work exclusively for Perry. Let's go to the next one. It says he wanted him to exclusively work for him. And it says, so long as Dixon had a secondary income that was providing for his basic needs. Once Dixon quit his job due to his role on the Oval, Perry started getting more and more personal with Dixon, knowing that Dixon was now under his control. Perry would often say things like, I give and give and give, and no one ever does anything for me in return. No one ever gives me what I want or what I need, implying that Dixon was not giving him the tail in the derriere that he wanted. He like, listen, I done gave you this role and you ain't giving me no tail. What's up with that? I give and I give and I give, and you ain't giving me that backside. Perry started asking Dixon about Dixon's preferences in the bedroom and what role Dixon took on when engaging his shaboint sections. Do you like it to do the bending? Or are you the one that is going to pound town? All right. So he asked him whether he was a top or a bottom, which means, does he like to take it up the woo-ha or give it up the woo-ha? Perry further indicated to Dixon that he had shaboink sessions with men before and that he liked to be the one to have you bend over. All right. He was on the top. It says Perry further told Dixon that when you have a big cucumber and a big pecker, and when you hit that spot right, these bottoms go crazy. Say what? So he over there telling Tyler that he got a big wank wank. And that he put it down so good that when they bent over, he just going to Pound Town and they lose their mind. That's what Dixon told him. So he letting Tyler know, if we get there. Interesting. Perry further told plaintiff that he wanted a man who was in a relationship with another individual, but with whom he could be emotionally involved and engage in shaboink sessions with, like a friend with benefits type relationship, because Perry did not have time to deal with the emotional aspect of a relationship. He only wanted to get that tail when he wanted to get that tail. Despite these comments, Dixon knew that a full-throated refusal, what? You couldn't just say you knew that you had to be stern and say no. You said a full-throated refusal. What? He said, despite these comments, Dixon knew that a full-throated refusal would land him in the doghouse and might result in his role being cut on the Oval. Fearing that his career would end before it began, Dixon put up with these comments and continued to maintain that he was not the shaboink type. On or around March of 2020, Dixon received the script for the Oval. He was written in as a season regular and was therefore expected to quit his job with Legendary Events. Dixon's character was written as a gay, homeless, and desperate store clerk who had to sleep with one of the other characters for a place to stay. More importantly, at the end of the season, his character would be shot 4 times in the chest. Dixon felt that this was a way for Perry to test him for a year and see if he would be loyal. When Dixon asked Perry about the shooting, Perry indicated that if Dixon did a good job, he would be back. All right. He said, listen, you do good. Don't worry about it. I'll bring you back. That's what he said. So it says Dixon would be back, and that a shooting didn't necessarily mean that his character was out of the script for future seasons. Perry commented that Dixon's character was only shot in the chest, not in the head. Dixon immediately understood that his job security depended on his relationship with Perry. From this point on, Dixon worked with the constant fear of losing his job if he did not engage with and endure his shaboink harassment. Shortly after giving Dixon this news, and after telling Dixon that future seasons were dependent on Dixon doing a good job, Tyler Perry invited Dixon to his home in Atlanta. He invited him to his home in Atlanta. It says that Dixon, he said, hold on, wait, where's that? It says plaintiff asked questions and tried to wiggle his way out of the invitation because he remembered what happened the last time. He said, he remembered, that you came up in my bed and was trying to hit me with the flashlight, if you know what I mean. However, plaintiff knew that his job security, income, and livelihood depended on his attendance. Plaintiff had seen other employees of Perry's who had experienced sudden deaths on the show when they fell on Tyler Perry's bad side. In fact, Perry had made it clear to Dixon that he would often delete characters in order to get an actor to be loyal or obedient. When Dixon arrived at the house, Tyler Perry gave Dixon a warm welcome and was very friendly. Soon after, Tyler started asking Dixon a slew of shaboink charge questions, even asking if Dixon liked it rough in the bed. Perry then physically reached out and violently grabbed Dixon's throat. Physically choked Dixon and remarked, Wow. Look how excited you got. You do like that. Child. I ain't gonna hold you now. You know, I like when a man get me together. It just do something, you know. But Tyler said you got that dog in you. You know, he done grabbed him up and said, "Look at you, done got excited, baby. You done got excited." Now, child, he said, "You do like that." Dixon was horrified, shocked, and in panic. Dixon never thought that Tyler Perry could get so violent and would place his hands on Dixon's throat in a shaboink, aggressive manner. Dixon did not enjoy or consent to any of this conduct. Dixon was in shock and took steps to immediately de-escalate the situation. Due to the onset of COVID, you know, damn, I didn't mean to say it says due to the onset of the in March 2020, filming for the Oval was postponed indefinitely. During the period in which filming for the Oval was postponed, Tyler Perry would make FaceTime calls and other contacts to Dixon almost every day, treating Dixon as his on-call pet. Now, Dixon, if he's calling you every day, he not calling you every day and you giving him the cold shoulder. He calling you every day because you making him feel like you like to get choked up. Now, you may not have gave him the tell, but you was playing into that role. Because after a while, he would get the message. Now, there's some people who don't get the message and you got to block them. But most individuals, if you make certain advances and they calling you and you giving them the cold shoulder and you acting dry on the phone and you like, child, I don't know what you're talking about, and you changing the subject, you was playing into it. You telling them how wild the men get when you peck them in the back. You were making him think that y'all was in this situationship type of, cat and mouse chase. And because you didn't give up the tail, he, was playing into it. But he ain't calling you every day for nothing. I'm going to say that. Every day. We in 2025. This say 2020. He calling you every day in 2020 and the lawsuit is in 2025? And he was calling you every day? And you wasn't giving him no kind of inkling that you wanted him to snatch that tail? Child, anyway, they're gonna say I'm victim blaming, but it is what it is. It says during that time the Oval was postponed. Tyler Perry would make FaceTime calls and other contact to Dixon almost every day, treating Dixon as his on-call pet. And then it says Dixon felt obligated to answer for fear of losing his job, income, and career. Perry often asked about Dixon about his whereabouts, often demanding that Dixon respond immediately when he didn't. Perry would send text messages to Dixon stating, "Derek, grrr." he said, "Derek, grrr." Oh my goodness. That's what it say. It say, "Derek, grrr." Okay. So it says Derek Gurr. And what are you doing? Additionally, Perry was jealous of anyone who Dixon has a relationship with. Tyler Perry told Dixon that if Dixon got the virus from his roommate at the time, he would not be able to shoot the Oval. Perry encouraged Dixon to move into one of the on-set studios owned by Perry, where Perry would have more control over his whereabouts. Thereafter, Perry would text plaintiff about other actors on his show, Ruthless. Perry told Dixon how he manipulated employees through ruthless retaliation. Perry told Dixon that if he did not like the way an actor behaved or the way the actor was acting, the character would simply die in season 2. Dixon understood that Perry was informing Dixon to be cautious about disappointing or upsetting Perry. As a result, Dixon continued to put up with Perry's suggestive messages and his essay advances while doing his best to protect himself by taking notes and amassing evidence of the harassment and keeping old text messages. In one conversation in or around April of 2020, Perry told Dixon that Perry imagined Dixon prancing around in a cowboy outfit and that Perry did things to Dixon that he couldn't talk with Dixon about any further because they were so wrong. In or around April of 2020, and while Dixon was living in the studio homes on set, Perry often coerced Dixon to drink alcohol and get on the phone with Perry. Perry would frequently have someone drop off alcohol at Dixon's door, and Perry would eventually turn these phone calls into explicit rants. Perry would get frustrated with Dixon and tell Dixon that he was not giving Perry what he needs. Dixon's refusal to succumb to Perry's advances caused Perry to be ever more frustrated. Eventually, Perry warned Dixon that if Dixon told his castmates about the harassment, Dixon would be opening himself up to lots of questions and foolishness. All right. He said, listen, don't you be telling nobody how you know what I'm saying, how I do what I do. He said, and demanded that Dixon not discuss any of their conversations with castmates. Put a 1 in the chat if you hit the like button. Have you hit the like button yet? Are you enjoying this stream? If you are enjoying this stream, I would appreciate if you know what I'm saying, send a little $1, $2, $3 holla. We are currently live from New York City. Now, y'all know New York City is the city that never sleeps, and it's also the city that is ever so expensive. So if y'all could send $1, $2, $3 holla either by super chat or our preferred message via Cash App, that would be ever so greatly appreciated because we reading y'all the scoop. And if you appreciate getting the scoop and the tea, and you know what I'm saying? You sip your little whatever, and roll up your little whatever, and listen and hear all the things. My Cash App is niquelaclaire. Okay. And if you're watching this on the playback and you didn't catch this while I was live, there is a thing in the comment section right before you comment called a super thanks. That's just like a Cash App. And if you are enjoying, you know, you could splash a little bit through the super thanks as well. Now, let's get into some more of this document because it's a whole lot going on. So it says Tyler Perry upped the stakes by telling Dixon point blank that he was not to tell anyone about their friendship. Perry told Dixon that it should all remain a secret and tried to make it seem like this secret was for Dixon's benefit. All right. So in the message, it says, listen to me. If you let the cast know that you and I have a new friendship, then you are opening yourself up to a lot of questions and foolishness. You want them to know that you are there because of your talent and not because we have a friendship or because Tony got me to give you a job. You earned your spot like everyone else. Don't give people an opportunity to play you small, or they will. I can't teach you everything, unfortunately. There are some things that you will have to learn yourself. Because when we go back to work, I'm not going to know. I don't have any friends that work for me, my friend. Professionalism is key. So he must have been bragging that Tyler Perry give him special treatment. And Tyler Perry had to give him a little bit of straightening and a reminder that he needs to get it together. Because you know what I'm saying? Don't be bragging. Nah, don't be bragging. Make you got this job because somebody told me to give you the job now. But don't be bragging like we cool like that and making them get suspicious and thinking you got this job because I got my eyes on that tail. Get it together. So to that, he replied and said, "You're totally right." And Tyler replied and says, "I hope you got it, my friend." And then he replied, "That makes total sense." And Tyler replied and says, "Just watch the behavior of everyone around me on set." He says, "Yes, I will. Don't want to give anyone that opportunity because work is work." So it sounds like they had a little secret understanding. Mm, okay. It says, he wanted it to be their little secret. Perry continued to harass Dixon on June 27, 2020. Defendant Perry texted Dixon that all he wanted for his birthday was biscuits and BJs. Biscuits and BJs. That's a new one. Child, I'm going to have to take a drink of water to that. He said he wants biscuits and BJs. That's how y'all giving it up? Biscuits and BJs? I gotta drink a water to that. And I gotta, child, when I get back out here on the dating scene and get me a little sneaky link or two, child, I want biscuits and BJs. Mainly BJs. Chef sloppy it up. Shit. Yeah. Biscuits and BJs is a new one for me, honey. You learn something new every day. He said he want biscuits and BJs. I know that's right. And child, ain't that something nice? So, anyways, he said he wanted biscuits and BJs, referring to blowjobs and oral, but all Perry ever received were biscuits, insinuating a request for oral from Dixon. Child, not he wanted that sloppy top. This text was followed by other messages calling Dixon cutie, and that Perry was just thinking about Dixon. Despite these advances, Dixon continued to act professionally and continued to tell Tyler Perry that he was not shaboinking. That seemed to be the only way to keep Perry at bay while keeping his job. In July of 2020, Perry remarked on how much he loved the script for Dixon's television series called Losing It. And that exclaimed that he wanted to shoot the pilot for it. Perry would never really work towards that goal. And what Perry was really doing was making Dixon more dependent on Perry so that Perry could later extract a shaboink favor from Dixon as a quid pro quo to produce the pilot. In or around August 2020, Dixon and his castmates began shooting for the Oval after delays due to the pandemic, during which time all the castmates and crew lived on the studio set in a quarantine bubble. It says shortly after Perry confided in Dixon that the two cast members were making him angry, and that Perry swore that he knew how to fix it. Perry added that he loves deleting an MFer in a show that no one expects, that he was going to shoot them all and delete them MFers characters, referring to deleting off characters in the Oval played by actors who Perry wanted to retaliate against. More importantly, Perry stated in one text message, "I may need to shoot the shootout early." Child, y'all was getting on his everlasting nerve. And he said he might have to get y'all up out of here. Okay. It says, Dixon understood this to mean that unless the actors knew they were going to die and that their time on the show was over, they wouldn't change their ways. Perry was going to film the shootout early so that the actors would be more submissive to Perry's request. Perry intentionally made these comments to instill fear in Dixon. Mr. Dixon now knew that he would too lose his job if Dixon did not play ball with Perry's harassment. This is what Perry had been setting up. Okay, he said, listen, this was the alley-oop the whole time. It's saying what? It says Perry had been setting this up. Dixon was now fully reliant on Perry for his income, hope, and future aspirations. Perry made it clear that Dixon was not to disclose the relationship to anyone else, and Dixon was aware that Perry would delete him off the show for good, thereby ending his career. I mean, you couldn't get another acting job. You get deleted off one show, ain't another show coming. I don't know. That's what I thought. But what did I know? Oh, hold on. Is my phone on silent? I did not even hear this text message. What time? Hold on. 1 second. I got to make arrangements with my baby daddy and my child while I'm away. Mama's working and arranging. What time? Okay, wait, hold up. Okay. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Arranging a pickup with my baby and her daddy and my mama. I'm texting slow. All right. Anyways, let's get back to it. So it says, where was we at? All right, let's get to this. Sorry, y'all. I didn't even see that he texted, but children gotta get taken care of when mama is working. All right. Perry had been setting up. Dixon was now fully reliant on Perry for his income, hope, and future aspirations. Perry made it clear that Dixon was not to disclose the relationship to anyone else, and Dixon was aware that Tyler Perry would delete him off the show for good, thereby ending his career if he got on his bad side. Wait, where was I at? I thought I read this. Okay. It says, once the stage was set, the harassment, it says, during the filming of The Oval in 2020, Perry engaged in severe and pervasive tirade of explicit commentary, including but not limited to that Dixon liked being choked. Following Dixon being choked by a cast member in one scene on The Oval, why do you twist your hips when you walk? How can I get a day of Dixon? When will you be thick again? I love how I feel now, but I don't like being horny. I feel sorry for the first person who flirts with me. I've been trying to put that energy somewhere else, but everything is shaboink on this stuff. the snake across the table made me think of, and I guess it's a photo of anaconda. I will gladly choke you right now. And a suggestion that Dixon should get braces behind his teeth, but that the plaintiff would have to give up BJ's and that it could be dangerous for Dixon's partner if they are not clipped at the meat. What? What is he? What? He said that they would have to give up BJ's and it would be dangerous for Dixon's partner if he wasn't clipped at the meat. It says that's when you were thick Derek, fun Derek, drunk Derek, before the virus Derek. I miss him just without a butt. And thick Derek would work them pants out. Perry also photographed Dixon's butt while on set and sending the pictures to Dixon. 2 text messages of many show that Perry was jealous of seeing Dixon with other men and that Perry describes Dixon as so beautiful. It says, "Why did that photo make me jealous? You two together." And then he says, "Haha, I don't know. It's just Brad, LOL. He just wanted to go for a quick walk to get his steps in. And now I'm walking to Chipotle by myself." Thick Derek, get that Chipotle. You can tell from that photo. No, I can't. Only from your jeans. Haha. That's how I measure too. If I'm not filling them out, I'm not working hard enough. Right. Mm. And then another message, Dixon replies and says, "Well, it's not this person, but yes, I want that too. I'm working on it in therapy." Oh, okay, I think we read these ones already. I feel sorry for the person that you choose. Child. Anyway, this looked like some flirting that I be doing with my little situationships. I don't know what's going on here, but this series of comments and other unwanted advances made Dixon highly uncomfortable. Dixon was caught in a bind. I'm in a bind, Nate. He could not complain to anyone in HR. He had nowhere to turn for relief for this harassment. And he knew that if he did not endure it, he would be killed off of the Oval. Dixon was unsure whether to joke back or rebuff Perry's advancements. So he endured it, knowing that his job was on the line if he did not engage. Perry would also share intimate details of his own shaboink life with Dixon. Amongst other things, Perry would tell Dixon that he had not had a good shaboink session since he became rich and that there were certain times where he had not been touched in months. On the second to last day of shooting for the Oval, Dixon filmed the episode where his character was shot 4 times, indicating a seeming end to his role on the show and his termination from the job. It was precisely following the day of filming when Tyler Perry knew that Dixon's character's fate to be decided that Perry invited Dixon to his trailer for drinks. Dixon knew that refusing meant the end of his career, so he accepted. It was there on that very same day that Perry dialed up the harassment to a new level. Tyler Perry asked Derek Dixon point blank, "Are you attracted to me?" and demanded that Dixon answer. Plaintiff reiterated the same way he did after the first assault. By skirting the question, Dixon told Perry that Dixon wasn't that shaboink or looking for anything. Perry's incessant probing did not stop. Perry continued to talk about how good looking and sexy Dixon was, and that plaintiff was wasting his looks by not being free and giving up that tail. Dixon repeatedly deflected these comments with neutral answers, constantly looking for ways to avoid Tyler Perry's interrogation while continuing to worry about his future on the Oval. Mr. Perry was testing how far he can go with Dixon. After enduring the harassment and doing his best to dodge the situation, Mr. Dixon got up and the two exchanged goodbyes. As Dixon was leaving Perry's trailer, Perry got up and pinned Dixon against the wall. What the hell? I hate when I'm on my MacBook and then somebody try to call me and it don't ring my phone, but it ring on my computer. But then it's weird. Anyways, so it says, what does it say? He didn't want to lose his job. After enduring the harassment and doing his best to dodge the situation, Mr. Dixon got up and the two exchanged goodbyes. As Dixon was leaving Perry's trailer, Perry got up and pinned Dixon against the wall. Perry began aggressively groping Dixon's booty in a, in a shaboink motion. And it says Tyler Perry began reaching down towards his butt and groped Dixon's butt in a strong manner that could not have been a mere accident. He grabbed a whole cup full of ass. It says Dixon stood frozen in horror and could not reciprocate or fight back. Child, he said he know what to do. He said he know what to do. It says all Dixon could do was let his body go cold and limp. Seeing that Dixon had no desire in Perry told Dixon that he was drunk and asked Dixon to leave the trailer. As soon as Dixon left the trailer following Tyler Perry's violent assault, Dixon became severely nauseous and extremely anxious about his job. Thank you, Amaya, for the super sticker. She sends $19.99. We appreciate that so much because, baby, that helps. That helps. So we're going to leave her $19.99 on the screen. Y'all know y'all can always double it up if you would like to. But anyways, it says, where was I at? So he was frozen after he grabbed a cup full of tail. And then it says, and could not reciprocate or fight back. All Dixon could do was let his body go cold and limp, seeing that Dixon had no desire in Perry. Perry told Dixon that he was drunk and asked Dixon to leave the trailer. As soon as Derek left the trailer following Perry's violent assault, Dixon became nauseous and extremely anxious about his job, career, and livelihood. Dixon felt trapped within the confines of the studio quarantine bubble. There was still another shoot the next day. Dixon called his friend Justin Bryant on the phone and told him everything that happened and was unaware of any human resource representatives to whom he could report the assault. Plaintiff had no one to turn to and nowhere to go to save him from Perry's aggressive harassment and exploitation. The next day, Perry acted like nothing happened and this time did not even offer him an apology. Following this exchange, Dixon began to avoid Perry as much as possible. However, Dixon still felt the need to answer Perry's messages so that he changed his approach. Dixon often pretended to be asleep to avoid being harassed by Perry. However, Perry persisted by texting Dixon, "Are you awake? Stop ignoring me." "You are awake, Derek. Wake up. I know you're not sleeping. And give me attention." In or around early October of 2020, Perry invited Dixon and other actors from the Oval on a cast trip to Perry's personal island in the Bahamas. Dixon knew, as did everyone else on the show, that declining to go on this trip might cause Perry to erase you from the show. Dixon agreed to go, knowing the whole cast was going to be there. One night, while in Perry's private island in the Bahamas, the cast was having a party. At the end of the night, Perry told Dixon that he wanted to talk to him. Dixon was caught off guard. All right. So he said he was caught off guard. Oh my God. Who knew that the guy that I've been flirting with would try to get some of this booncha cat? He was surprised on this exclusive island. He said Perry made alcoholic drinks and forced Dixon to drink with him. Dixon knew that he could not refuse the drinks. Otherwise, he would risk upsetting Mr. Perry. Instead, Dixon tried to stay in control and sip drink slowly. Tyler Perry did not control himself. He drank until it was clear that alcohol had made him bold and shaboink aggressive. Perry told Dixon that he wanted a relationship with someone who could be emotionally and actually available. He wanted a little boy toy. He said he wanted to have him. Why do they keep repeating the same stuff over and over? We read that already. Perry said that he could see himself having that type of relationship with Dixon. Perry insisted that Dixon needed to be with someone rich because Dixon liked nice things. Perry told Dixon that he was watching all the cast as they laid out in the sun, tanning with their tanning oil. Perry continued raving about how seeing Dixon greased up like that. What Armand said, more oil, more oil. He said that he loved seeing Dixon greased up like that, and it was driving him crazy. Tyler Perry said he would have burnt the whole island down if one of the other actors or anyone else from the group had touched Dixon that night. At that point, he was once again aggressively seized Dixon and groped his butt again. Dixon once again froze up and did not reciprocate. So he said now they done went from in Atlanta from the Tyler Perry studios to now they on this exclusive island, and Tyler Perry done grabbed up a handful of tail again. He done cupped up the left and the right this time. So he said he froze up. He know what to do. I froze. I'm, child. He done grabbed a cup of tail again. Here he go, grabbing tail. Now it says, Perry got the message and told Dixon to go to bed. Dixon was terrified and could barely sleep. From that moment on, Perry became extremely frustrated and possessive. Perry wanted desperately for Dixon to be attracted to him, but Dixon was not. In one exchange, Perry sent pictures of himself from the Bahamas to Dixon. Dixon responded that the water looked nice, and Perry got upset that Dixon did not see the stud in the picture. Okay, so in the picture, it's a picture of him next to a jet ski with the clear blue ocean, and Dixon says, "Nice picture. Yeah, the water does look calm." And Tyler Perry says, "Nice picture." He said, "Great, amazing, awesome picture." And then Tyler Perry says, "You don't see that stud in that nice picture? Rude." LOL, yes, that's a stud. And then Tyler said, "Asshole." So this exchange just tell me that they be having flirtatious banter. Okay. And so on to the next one. On to the next one. On or around October 18, 2020, and following Dixon's return from the Bahamas, Perry told Dixon that he was jealous that Dixon was giving too much attention to other men. Perry stated that Dixon was being too much of a social butterfly and that he would need Dixon to sit still this week. Further attempting to exercise his influence over Dixon's interaction with other men, Perry continued to wield his position as Dixon's boss, demanding he get some shaboink attention in exchange for his continued employment. These text messages were followed by others to Dixon like, "Derek, don't you dare ignore me. I deserve better. I deserve attention all the time." Dixon, out of fear for the unknown future of his career, continued to give Perry the social attention he demanded, even though Dixon would constantly get harassed. Sure. Anyway, on several occasions, Perry would text Dixon while drunk. In one exchange, Perry told Dixon, "You know what I cook?" Derek then proceeds to say, "I'm so drunk, talking ish." In December of 2020, Dixon began feeling depleted due to Perry's continued pattern of harassment. The assaults and the harassment began manifesting into his physical health, and Mr. Dixon had no one to turn to. Dixon visited a physician who indicated that he exhibited severe symptoms of acute stress, insomnia, stomach issues, and dangerously low cortisol levels due to the harassment environment he was in. The physician prescribed him Zoloft and an antidepressant for his ailments. The harassment continued through the beginning of 2021. Perry continued sending Dixon unsolicited photos of Dixon's body on the set of the Oval with comments such as, "Oh my God, look at thick Derek. Thick. No, the weight difference. I can do see it. Thick Derek. Sick. Okay, good." A lot going on in these messages, child. So they done went from 2020 to 2021. And Tyler Perry is still trying to get that tail. Okay, a mess. Now, let's read some more. It say, "Nope, I can't deal with thick Derek." And it says, "What's going to take for you? What's it going to take to have guiltless sex? Have you found that yet in therapy? What's your waist? I'm so glad thick Derek is back. Break out in ass and thighs. You home? I don't want you out with your friends drinking. You are the rose, but you are so blocked that you refuse to smelt. Why you find when you finally are able to unlock your mind, you're gonna make that person crazy in a good way. Have you been intimate with someone? Why did that photo of him and another cast member make me jealous? Da, da, da. And then it says, thick Derek, get that Chipotle. Derek is there to make me swoon. What I mean by that is you're so beautiful when you finally are able to unlock your mind." Why did it keep repeating the same stuff in this lawsuit? I'm getting so mad. Let me scroll down. After several weeks of unreciprocated advances and innuendos, let's go to the next page. It says, after several weeks of unreciprocated innuendos and demands for attention, Perry lashed out at Dixon on set and asked if he needed to punch Dixon in the stomach for Dixon to act the way Perry envisioned in a scene. This exchange was highly tense, and Perry's reaction stunned several cast members. Actors on set consoled Dixon for the abrasive interaction, confused as to why Perry overreacted in such a manner. But Dixon knew that Perry was lashing out due to his frustration at the lack of attention Dixon was giving him. On or around June 4th, 2021, now they done went from March to October to December to June of the next year, still engaging in this back and forth. Perry invited Dixon to his house to spend some time together and discuss the pilot of Losing It. Although Dixon hesitated, because, prior to him asking him to come to his house again, he done already grabbed 2 cupfuls of ass. Now, he's knowing that Tyler done grabbed up his booty cheeks on 2 different occasions. he's hesitating to go back. So it says that, they supposed to be going over the pilot of losing it. And it says he hesitated because he feared the consequences of disappointing Perry and believed once losing it was a big show, he would be freed from under the clutches of Perry. So basically, you using him to get your career off the ground and making him think you interested and trying to use him for a role while he trying to use you for some tail. Y'all both was using each other. It sounded like a mutually beneficial arrangement. Okay. It sounds like, you trying to use him for a role and he wants you for some tail. Am I blurry? Am I not clear? Y'all saying I'm blurry? My bad. I had to text because now I'm getting irritated. It can all be so simple, but you rather make it hard. Child. Anyway, where was I at? Because I done got irritated. What was I at? Oh, he said after. Did I read this already? Hold on, let me find where I was at because I done got irritated. Okay, it says, all right, so it says, we'll just start back here. It says, on or around June 4th, 2021, Perry invited Dixon to his house to spend some time together and discuss the pilot of losing it. Although Dixon hesitated, he feared the consequences of disappointing Perry and believed once losing it was a big show. Where was I at? Child. Oh, he will be freed from under the clutches of Perry. During the visit, Perry made several alcoholic beverages for himself and demanded to know why Dixon was not having sex with anyone. Perry probed further about Dixon's private life and insisting that the two were becoming increasingly drunk and it was time to end the night. Perry then led Dixon to a guest house where a guest bedroom was. Dixon would be staying there that night. Inside the guest bedroom, Perry mentioned to Dixon to come see a weight monitor that he had. Perry told Dixon that for the monitor to work, Dixon would need to step on the monitor wearing only his underwear and push Dixon to try it out. Dixon tried to avoid the uncomfortable situation, but decided it was better to comply and hurry to bed than to wait for an alternative at that point. After weighing himself, Dixon walked towards the guest bedroom, followed by Perry, who would then ask Dixon for a good night hug. Rather than arguing, Dixon complied, at which point Perry reached out and yanked Dixon's underwear down from behind. He said he went, he said he got on that scale with nothing but his t-shirt and his panties on, minus the t-shirt. And then after he did that, he just got his underwear on and he walking into the bedroom. And as he walking into the bedroom, he said Tyler Perry done snatched that Boonshire cat naked and pulled that underwear down. Child, a mess. So, he said he pulled his underwear down from behind. Perry then began to vigorously grab, grope, and play with Dixon's butt. Play with his butt? Dixon was naked, stunned, and seized by tremendous fear. Dixon started to tell Perry that he did not want his underwear down, that Dixon didn't want to be naked, and Dixon didn't want this. He said Dixon quickly reached to pull his underwear back up. As soon as he did, Perry grabbed Dixon, reaching arm with a tight grip, and held fast. Tyler Perry told Derek Dixon to relax and to just let it happen, and that Perry wasn't gonna hurt. I ain't gonna hurt you. Perry continued to grope his butt, and Dixon his anxiety rapidly escalated, thinking that he might soon be hard. Dixon was not sure what to do, and his breath shortened. Perry ignored Dixon's refusal and held Dixon's hand fast, preventing him from reaching for his underwear. Dixon was naked and being groped by a large, drunk, and sexually frustrated 6'5" man who had Dixon in his clutches. Dixon did not know if he was going to have to get into a physical fight, but he knew that any efforts to fight back were hopeless. Perry had armed security at his gate, was much larger than Dixon, and told Dixon that he had several pew-pews in his home. Dixon was desperate for a way out and remarked that he couldn't do anything, hanky-panky, because he was so hungry, attempting to change the conversation. Dixon asked, "Is there any food up there?" where prompted Perry to withdraw and order a pizza. Dixon, in fear of his safety, followed Perry into the main house to eat the pizza. Afterwards, Dixon returned to the guest house and, unable to lock the bedroom door, locked himself in the guest house bathroom and slept on the floor. Dixon then attempted to contact some close friends about the incident. The following morning, Dixon realized that he had left his car keys in the main house, and upon going to retrieve them, encountered Tyler Perry. Perry told Dixon that last night's incident was why the two shouldn't drink together, and that the previous night's incident shouldn't have happened. Dixon responded saying, "Oh, so that was my fault?" To which Perry replied, No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that shouldn't have happened, and I drank too much. Attempting to excuse himself for grabbing Dixon's butt, groping Dixon, and attempting to have shaboink with him against his will. At this point, Dixon left Perry's home uncontrollably shaking and contacted his close friends to discuss the unspeakable horror from the night before. For the next several days until June 6, 2021, Perry texted and called Dixon incessantly. It says, with messages asking Dixon to call him or answer his calls. Finally, Dixon answered, at which point Perry began to apologize for blaming the testosterone supplements he was taking at the time. Perry had confided in Dixon about the supplements in the past messages and decided to use them as a scapegoat for his actions. Dixon emphasized that he was not okay with what happened and that he had never asked Perry for anything, to which Perry replied, "I know, that's why I like you." Perry further attempted to rectify his misconduct by inviting Dixon on a yacht trip and telling Dixon that Perry was for sure going to make Dixon's pilot. Dixon realized that Perry was offering to make losing it to effortlessly silence Dixon. Perry sent text messages trying to arrange for Dixon to come on his yacht with another person so that Dixon would feel more comfortable. Dixon responded that he would not board the yacht and refused Perry's invitation. After Dixon refused to go on the yacht, Perry did not text Dixon for 5 months. Sensing that Dixon was upset, Perry called Dixon once to update him that Perry was looking for a director for the pilot. During the 5-month period, Dixon was regularly in therapy. He suffered from severe depression, anxiety, stomach pains, and nausea, resulting in a new prescription for another antidepressant. Dixon was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and his therapist recommended that he seek outpatient treatment costing upwards of $20,000. All right. He said he had to get therapy for this, and it was costing him a pretty penny. All right. It says, at the time, that was too much for him to be paying. He said during that time, Dixon began speaking with people about the SA and was assessing his rights. As soon as Perry realized that Dixon was done talking to him, Dixon got a message from Perry's fixers. Perry's fixers contacted Dixon, indicating Dixon's character in the Oval, the one who was shot, who would be returning with a new storyline next season. And Dixon was receiving a graduated raise from $10,000 per episode to $16,000 per episode. That would continue to increase to upwards of $19,000 per episode over the coming seasons. The attorney said that Christmas came early for Dixon because he was doing a good job on the Oval. However, they also told Dixon he was forbidden from letting his castmates know about the raise because nobody other than him would be receiving a similar pay increase. Lastly, the fixers told Dixon that Perry wanted to buy the rights to produce the pilot of Losing It and planned to spend up to $1 million producing the pilot. Dixon immediately knew why he was getting this raise and why the pilot was being produced. He knew he could keep the money and the job or complain about the harassment, but not both. The situation facing Dixon presented a challenge decision that left him unable to take any action or make any decision. The prospect of the SA and harassment becoming public and dealing with Perry's highly paid attorneys was daunting. Perry had significant resources, whereas Dixon did not. Dixon's goals of working as an actor and being discovered for his talents might be jeopardized. In what was an extremely difficult decision, Dixon bowed to the pressure and fear of losing his livelihood, and in hopes of advancing his career, Dixon decided to return to the set and have his pilot produced. He insisted, however, and decided to put safeguards in place between himself and Perry. In or around November 2021, Dixon returned to shoot the Oval, and it was then when he saw Perry for the first time in person since the Bunche snatching incident. It says, Dixon suffered from a panic attack in his trailer, prompting another actor to calm Dixon down. Seeing that Dixon was still upset, Perry knew that he had to up the ante to ensure Dixon's silence. Perry began periodically texting plaintiff regarding the production of the pilot Losing It to string Dixon along. Soon after, Dixon received a call from a member of Perry's production team telling him that they were considering shooting Dixon's pilot in the coming fall of 2021. Dixon was desperate for this good news given the uncertainty surrounding his finances and concern about his future. In or around March 2024, Dixon signed the literary purchase agreement for the pilot, giving the rights for the series to the defendant TPS. Dixon was unaware of TPS pre-existing television contracts with Viacom CBS, now known as Paramount Global, which would later prevent the sale of Dixon's show to any media outlets or streaming services for 2 years. On or around March 2022, shortly after seeing each other on the set of The Oval, Dixon and Perry began shooting the pilot. Perry called Dixon following the shoot, telling him that the show would net 2 to 3 million per episode and run for 2 seasons guaranteed. Perry purchased the rights to Losing It from Dixon, but did not try to sell it to any network. In fact, Perry was under contract with Viacom CBS, preventing him from selling Dixon's show for an additional 2 years following the purchase. In other words, Perry spent money shooting a pilot for a show and then purchasing the rights to it, knowing that he could not sell the show for 2 years. Clearly, this was done for the ulterior motive of silencing Mr. Dixon. As it turns out, Perry had no intention of ever producing Losing It. Perry never made any effort to sell the show or shop it. Perry was only using the show as a quid pro quo to Dixon, holding its production over Dixon's head like a sword of whatever. On or around April 9, 2022, to his surprise, plaintiff received the script for another season of The Oval, in which the plaintiff character, originally written as a grocery store clerk, would play a male prostitute being pursued by a pimp. This character scenes and story shared eerie similarities to Perry's pursuit of Dixon. While it was not surprising that one of Perry's characters would end up this way, the timing of the change to Dixon was a very clear message. As Dixon continued to read through his scripts, he started to notice that Perry included lines taken directly from things that Perry and Dixon spoke about. Perry started to base the script on real life and made it personal. For example, Perry wrote about Dixon that I don't like none of my bees running away. He was making good money for me. In or around April 2022, before beginning to shoot the next season of The Oval, Perry called Dixon to discuss the June 2021 essay on the phone. Perry lectured Dixon about how Dixon was overreacting to the essay because of prior essays that he had in his life. Perry said that there was a misunderstanding and a miscommunication, and that Dixon needed to say no stronger. In other words, Perry blamed Dixon for the essay, claiming that Perry felt that Dixon no really was a yes because Dixon did not say no strongly enough. Hold on 1 second. I'm on live. I'm gonna call you back. I'm on live. I'm gonna call you back. Okay. That was my daughter. Anyways, let's see, where was we at? So he didn't want to, okay, so it says, he didn't say no strong enough. In other words, Perry blamed Dixon for the essay, claiming that Perry felt that Dixon's no was really a yes because Dixon did not say no strongly enough. So, as not to jeopardize his employment with the defendants, Perry and TPS, Dixon dismissed the conversation, especially due to allegedly impeding sale of his show to a major broadcasting company. On or around October 28, 2022, after filming a full season of The Oval, Perry told Dixon that despite shooting the pilot, it could take a while to place, and that Perry couldn't do any other television series until his deal was up with Viacom, which would take about 2 years. In or around January of 2023, plaintiff indicated that he was moving to Santa Monica. He did so to put some distance between himself and Perry. Tyler Perry replied that he was glad to hear that Dixon was moving away and asked if Dixon's no was stronger because he left Perry. Perry reiterated that Dixon should have a strong no and make it clear. I mean, they repeat the same thing over and over and over again in this lawsuit. If y'all have not hit the like button yet, make sure y'all hit the like button. All right, so it says this was Perry's way, once again referring to his June 2021 essay of Dixon and making it clear that Perry felt no remorse for assaulting Dixon against his will. Dixon remained calm considering that these triggering comments because he needed Perry to help him with his dreams of producing a show, and because Dixon was still a regular actor on The Oval. Even after Dixon moved to California, the quid pro quo harassment and attempts to cover up essay by promising a show continued. Perry would call Dixon, who felt obligated to pick up Perry's phone calls and respond to text messages. These conversations would often start about work and the men's business relationships, and then transition to further conversations about Dixon's private hanky-panky life, adding to Dixon's trauma and forcing him to relive the essay. Perry continued to envelop Dixon in this feeling of reliance and justify the essay that happened. Perry would call Dixon and say, "You'll understand when you have a hit show," and in the same breath refer to the essay by saying, "I'm so glad we're past that." Dixon knew that he had to just hold his tongue because Perry was still employing Dixon. It sounded like they both was trying to manipulate each other out of whatever they wanted. Okay. And child, this is what Jerica said. I didn't say that, but that's what she said. On or around October 2023, Tyler Perry finally contacted Dixon, indicating that he was going to be finished with his Paramount Global contract in January 2024 and that he would be able to start working on selling Losing It. Perry was just hoping that the statute of limitations would run on Dixon's essay claims before closing the door on Dixon's hope on the quid pro quo that Perry offered for Dixon's silence. In the same conversation where they are talking about Perry starting to do things with Losing It, Tyler Perry also asked Dixon who he was having sex with. Perry further pushed for details, asking Dixon if he was the giver or the receiver in this scenario, or if the plaintiff used protection and PrEP when engaging in these hanky-panky acts. Perry continued to probe other intimate details about Dixon's sex life. Perry again told Dixon that Perry wants to partner with whom he could have an emotional relationship, but who goes back to their partner at the end of the day. Child, a whole lot of going on. It says in December 2023, Christian Keys, another actor who worked for Perry prior to Dixon's employment, posted a video on social media detailing his abusive experience with an anonymous Black Hollywood billionaire, which Dixon pieced together and believed to be Tyler Perry. Child, let me click this link. Where does link go to? Open link. Child, they got the lawsuit right here. Hold on, let me see. I mean, not the lawsuit, but when Christian Keys talked about y'all remember when Christian Keys made that video? But anyways, child. Let's finish reading. So he's seen that Christian Keys made a video about, a Black Hollywood billionaire. And Dixon heard Mr. Keys' account and saw that Perry had been engaging in the same conduct as other actors, just like the interactions described by Keys. Perry would get drunk, climb into Dixon's bed, and start fondling Dixon's butt. Dixon wanted to share his experience with the media to prevent other actors from being abused at the hands of Tyler Perry. Around this time, Perry called Dixon, indicating that he really wanted to find a home for Dixon's television series. Again, perpetrating, acting like, child, anyway. Then in January of 2024, Perry told Dixon to begin working on a pitch deck for investors for the pilot. Despite having 8 episodes written, Perry only produced one, claiming that the president of the company, Michelle Sneed, conveniently misplaced the $1 million that were going to be used for the show. During this time, Perry further solicited Dixon's assistance with other films and projects that Tyler was working on. Once again, Dixon was in a position where he could not say no. In or around March of 2024, Tyler Perry indicated to Derek Dixon that the individual who was meant to pitch the pilot became depressed and could no longer pitch the show. This was another excuse for the fact that Perry never liked the show and never intended to sell it. Child. I'm probably gonna read 1 or 2 more pages and then we're gonna be out of here because I think that's pretty much okay. We almost done. Dixon did not get angry and allow Perry more time to figure things out for the show, mistakenly sensing that Dixon had forgiven him. Perry started back up with the harassment. Perry continued to harass Dixon, who was still working on the Oval and who was still waiting eagerly for Perry to sell Losing It. Perry would tell Dixon that he loved Dixon and that Dixon should be living his life and that Dixon should be having sex more. Perry even indicated that he would send Dixon's show to Peter Friedlander at Netflix, but all this was just an attempt to remind Dixon of the sword of Damascus, whatever. Child, I'm getting tongue-tied, tongue twisted, and tired of all of this. Child, sword of whatever over his neck. Later, Perry told Dixon that Netflix turned the show down. Dixon was never contacted by any individuals from Netflix regarding the show, and no sale ever materialized. In or around June of 2024, Perry sensing that Dixon was getting frustrated about his show not getting off the ground and still concerned about SA being made public, he offered Dixon a position as a writer on Perry's show indicating that he needed a replacement to continue writing. It was only then that Dixon woke up and realized that Perry was never going to be serious about helping him. Perry was only going to do things for Dixon if Dixon played along with the harassment. Perry was only interested in preventing Dixon from exposing the dark side of Tyler Perry. Perry only cared that people still view him as the victim he once was, even now as he took shape as the victimizer. Dixon became sick to his stomach. Rather than continue down this path, Dixon took the heroic step of reporting this situation. After reporting the harassment, defendants did not make any investigation into the complaint and did not take any steps to prevent further harassment from occurring. Because defendants took no action to prevent further assault or harassment, Dixon had to quit his job working on the last season of The Oval. Dixon did so even though he was under contract to finish filming and stood to make close to $400K. Dixon did not want to be harassed or placed in danger of SA again. Defendant then retaliated against Dixon. Defendant told Dixon that if he quit and told others why he quit, he would be in breach of his contract. Defendant told Dixon that the only way out was to portray his departure from the show as a medical leave due to emotional distress caused by harassment. The leave of absence was to be paid medical leave. Instead, the defendant made the leave of absence unpaid and therefore terminated plaintiff's employment, causing Dixon additional loss of income. So that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of the story. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. If y'all enjoyed me reading y'all this lawsuit that was brought on by Mr. Derek Dixon, then y'all could drop a little $1, $2, $3 holla in the bucket. Or you can send a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. And y'all let me know the next video or story y'all want me to talk about. Now, today, as I stated, I'm in New York covering the Diddy trial. And there wasn't really a lot to talk about. It was just a lot of text messages. What Diddy paid for? He paid for this hotel, that hotel, this hotel, this damage, that damage. It wasn't really nothing like that to make a full video out of. Tomorrow is going to be the guy that got arrested with him, and he had the I'm in love with the cocoa, and he got arrested on a jet when they was seizing his houses. He's set to testify tomorrow, so hopefully it'll be some tea in that, and we could talk about that. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Make sure to hit the like button if y'all have not, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't either. I'll see y'all on the next video.